and he was like, yeah, sure, go for it. And in like the comments of the pizza, she wrote like, call 911, I'm being held here.
And know each other. They have these things that they remember to be true, and in our current timeline they are not. I feel like if people are inherently wealthy and they do have children who are born into that kind of luxurious lifestyle, you have a responsibility. My entire life I built this house with my own
my bare hands.
I started.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Two Couch Talk.
Yes,
Hey.
yes, sir. Everybody, Two Couch Talk.
Two Couch
episode
Talk.
9.
Episode 9. Can you believe it? We've done this for 9 episodes, and pretty soon here we're going to be doing it for the 10th episode, our big milestone. We're looking
double digits.
Digits. Finally.
Right.
Today, I will be your host. I am Gavinci Raw, a.k.a. Eli. If you don't know already by now, I would think 9 episodes you know by now.
Yeah.
I am with my other host, Gavinci. Oh, you're
I'm
Gavinci
not
Raw.
Gavinci
Now
Raw.
you're Gavinci Raw. Now, Jared Mannche, or just Mannche for short.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Good
That's
stuff right
me.
there. And our permanent guest.
All right.
Yeah, Alex Busta, the really cool guy sitting next to me. So, without a doubt, you guys, let's jump right into this. Might as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
No need to explain the rules.
no reason, by now you guys should know it. If not, go watch our first episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Go back and relive the classic moments of Two Couch Talk, the humble beginnings.
Exactly.
With that being said, the timer is up, 10 minutes, and I'm going to start it off actually on a light topic today instead of my controversial like I always do.
Okay.
Relationships. What's the best way to get in them or the best way to get out of them? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin.
Ooh, that's a good one, man. You're talking about like romantic relationships, or
You could go the realm of friendship too if you want, but I was hinting more like relationship is like with a person, like romantically speaking, because like I would love to hear a female's perspective on this. How do you get out of a broken relationship that's obviously broken, especially like women who get hit or women who hit men, or even like some that are violent where it's just like escalates to people are stabbing or trying to kill each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you get out of that? What do you gentlemen think about it?
Oof, man. Well, that one there is definitely a big deal, because you're talking about someone's safety being in danger.
Yeah, domestic abuse
at that point. So I think the best thing that you can do as far as that goes is don't, once you realize there's an issue, you can't keep dealing with it any longer beyond that, because otherwise you're knowingly leaving yourself in that same position without doing anything to better it. And as kind of I know this is probably not going to be a very popular statement, but you also, in a roundabout way, enable that person who is giving you this abuse, because they're not seeing any consequence arise from it. You're still there.
Absolutely.
You stayed. So, as far as they're concerned, their behavior is not going to cause you to do anything or go anywhere.
Yeah, it's justified because you stay and you create that realm, just like how you were saying. Like, yeah, you're absolutely 100% agree with you.
So I think in that kind of scenario there, silence is the worst thing that you can do, is to not tell somebody about it, to not try and seek out help for a lot of things in life. There's a ton of stuff that we as people just cannot necessarily do on our own, or can't do as well as we could without a support network. So I think that's a big part of it, is just making sure that if you find yourself in one of those relationships, assess it, define it, know what it is and why you want to get out, and then don't stop there. You've got to take it to somebody and tell them, here's what's going on in my life, here's what's happening in my relationship, this is not healthy, I need help getting out of it safely.
See, like, I think, like, to me, I don't know, because I've never been in that kind of relationship, so I don't.
It's coming, Jarrett. It's coming.
Yeah.
Right now, there's some woman on that right now watching on YouTube saying, "Ooh, I'm planning on Jarrett right now. I'm planning on Mannche."
Please knock on wood.
Yeah, right.
Right there. But like for me, I don't know. The simple answer is like just leave. But like to other people, it's not that easy.
It's weird to think that because I'm the same way as you. I'm like,
I'll
just rip off the Band-Aid. It is what it is. You know, it's not working. Peace. But I'm one of those people who just like realizes like there's always more fish in the sea. You don't got to be stuck with just one person if it comes down to it. Plus, like one of the previous episodes, I said you only live once, so sometimes you have to realize like I have to do what's right for me. I know that seems wrong or even selfish, but it's like you literally live once. So like if I'm stuck in this relationship, powerfully unhappy, and I'm gonna remain unhappy for the rest of my life, like what a shitty way to live.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Exactly.
Right.
So for me, it's just like, you know, if I saw something that like maybe like some violent tendencies or they threaten me because I did something, it's like, okay, I'll just leave. You know, not a big deal.
Right.
I'll find somebody else.
Mhm.
Or like say they're like, you know, some people I've heard stories about people who are like they try to leave the relationship, but then the person that they're with is like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself if you leave, and then you feel responsible for them because you're like, man, I don't want this person to kill themselves, I just don't want to be in a relationship with them. So then they get kind of trapped in there. So it's like,
do you think those people who say that are really gonna do it, or is it just more or less like I'm gonna say this little hollow threat or this empty threat, expecting you to like cave, and then not leave, or is it like this person really is gonna and then be done with it, which is wrong.
I think that's
attention, realization.
Yeah.
Because that's what we want to teach on here.
Don't try this at
don't
home,
try this at
kids.
home, please don't.
So I don't know, it's like you'd have to go on like a person-to-person basis where it's like, oh, are they depressed, are they showing suicidal tendencies before? Because like I think a sane person, you know, like you or me, I don't know about Alex, but
fair enough.
Alex with his silky smooth voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
But like a sane person, you know, I could say that, but like I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
But it's like maybe, you know, if you were depressed and you were already thinking about it before, and then you say it, you're like, he might, you know, he might. So I'd probably say the best course of action for that would be like to, I don't know, maybe like go to the police or something, make sure that like tell them like, hey, this person is threatening to kill himself if I leave, so I need you guys to keep an eye on him or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or I know there's a couple stories where let's see, like a girl was being held in the house and she was like, hey, do you want me to order some pizza? And he was like, yeah, sure, go for it. And in like the comments of the pizza, she wrote like, call 911, I'm being held here. And then that came up in the store, and then they brought the police to there without him knowing about it. So it's like if you could find a way to kind of like get the police to the house without the other person finding out and being like, hey, he might be suicidal, he's violent, you know, keep an eye on him.
Yeah, just in case. Or even like the I cannot remember is Ari Spears, I think that's her name, the one who ended up killing her husband, who lives in Arizona, or not her husband, her boyfriend, because he was leaving her.
Jodi Araya.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Her, like that whole crazy ass. That dude was just like, yeah, I'm peace. I'm not doing this shit. I'm leaving. And then she ended up slitting his throat while he was in the shower, wasn't it?
I don't
think
remember.
so, yeah.
I think that's what it was. He was in the shower. She came up behind him and whoop, and slit his throat and killed him. And you know, she doesn't bat an eye at it. She's completely content that she did that.
Yeah.
You know, and but that's like that. Like, was she crazy like that beforehand, and he was aware of that, or was it more like, you know, crazy girls have the best. You know, they're the best in bed and stuff like that. So you're just like, I'm gonna look past that. You know, and then vice versa for like men who are very aggressive and abusive with women. Like, can you guys see that beforehand with the guy? Like, can you obviously tell, like, oh man, this guy, there's something wrong with him? And if so, then in a way, like, that means you should have realized, like, oh, you know, he's not very passionate, or no, she's not very like eccentric, I guess I could put it like that. And that just attracts me more to him. It's like, no, there's a possibility that this person might have a mental issue that it may eventually come up on me and attack me. Not to say that mental anything with like mental health is not something, you know, that's important. That's another subject for another day that we really do need to talk about. But till then, you know, that's something that maybe possibly like people should see and be like, hey, you know what, I need to stay away from this. This is a big can of worms I do not want to open, at least. Unless that's your thing, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the interesting thing about that is a lot of people who, you know, abuse, especially domestic abuse like that, is strictly control. Somebody who has it in their head, somebody who has the ability to do that to another person. It boils down psychologically to them needing to have control over another person close to them in their life. And as far as, you know, as far as looking for signs of that, there's a lot of different things that you can see. You know, does the abusive person allow the other person to go out and see their friends? Do they control all the money in the relationship? Do they have final say on every decision? You know, any real relationship is a
give and take,
a partnership. Yeah, exactly. You have to be on the same team with this other person because you're figuring out life and building your life together. And it doesn't work. There's no coin that doesn't have two sides.
Exactly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was 10 minutes. Would either of you gentlemen like to use your 5?
I'm gonna go with my 5, and I'll tell you why.
All right, 5 minutes starts now.
I'm using my 5 today because we only got to cover the how to get out of a bad relationship, and I'd like to flip it over on the other side and talk about how do you develop a good one.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
All right,
yeah,
all right.
Let's bring a little more happiness to it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
leave on a
this,
good.
Yeah, this was to be a positive.
Yeah, leave on a good note.
So I am super happily married man. Actually, is it July yet? No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
In a few weeks, I will be celebrating my 4th anniversary.
Hey, congratulations!
Married with my wife. We started out as incredible friends. We met at a music store that I used to work at. I saw her playing a guitar, tried to sell it to her, and she wasn't having it. She shut me down. Real solid, which was really funny, but you know, we both had a good time, and I ended up liking her so much that I got her an application for that store on the spot, and within a week she had a job there, and we were working together. Over the next 2 years, I want to say maybe about 2.5 years, we just developed a really close relationship. Where we were incredible friends. You know, we were cooking breakfast with each other before we were even dating or anything like that. Her on her days off, she would come to the store and bring me a drink and a snack, and you know, we would just kind of look out for each other without really realizing what it was and that it had grown into this bigger thing. Of course, once we finally did, then we had to stop and kind of, you know, oh my God, really? Like, yeah, that's what this turned into. We're together, and then we discussed it. But I think friends first, if you can manage it, if you're in the right scenario or right circumstances, is great. There's no strain on having to learn as much as you can about a person on a first date. When you go
Yeah.
out with that person, you're not worried about like, oh shit,
yeah,
am I
am
gonna
I-
be able to kiss them at the end of the night?
Yeah, am I going to say
Like,
something wrong, or am I wearing
yeah.
the right clothes, or
You're very relaxed, you're very comfortable, and you get to give that person the real version of yourself, which if they're gonna like you and want to be on your team long term, that's what they need to see anyways, is
Yeah.
you being really you. So being honest, I think, is the best thing, and just not worrying about necessarily where it's gonna go when you're just trying to develop that foundation with a person.
Mm-hmm.
that's good stuff.
He's a smart man.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Kinda blew my mind there for a
Yeah,
second.
there you go. Hey, and all the people out there in single land, there you go. That's some good advice. I mean, without a doubt, that's advice that me and Jared both could take to heart and then build from it. Well, I was going to ask when you were saying that, like, well, both you guys, you could even say that. If you start a friendship with a female, how soon or how long do you go before you guys try to transition it over? And without a doubt, I mean, obviously, without a doubt, like, there has to be some type of chemistry there that's obvious as to why you would want to transition it over, instead of it being the one person likes one person but the other doesn't quite like that person, And I mean, I'm guilty of it, where you fall victim of, you didn't quite see it and you thought it was something that was there, and then you went for it and it was just like, oh, you're shut down, and now it's awkward and the friendship's kind of because of that. What do you guys think about that? Like time frames or anything like that?
So, I don't know if you can really put a time frame on it, just because, like Alex said, it just kind of develops naturally. Whether like that would be the ideal way to go about it.
Yeah.
I'd say that you just kind of know, like Alex,
Just
he
go with the flow.
Just kind of hits you in the face where it's like, oh well, yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sure,
I'm basically in a relationship and I didn't realize it.
yeah, exactly. Like, you didn't have to, say anything or do anything, or like, ask him out on like some sort of elaborate level. Like, Alex, how did you go up to her and be like, hey, do you want to like be my girlfriend? Like, did you just be like, hey, yo, you want to go
Yeah,
out?
basically when it came to that point.
My realization story is actually really funny. So she came into the store one day with one of her guy friends, a dude I'd never met before. Yeah, after the fact, I realized super nice guy, everything like that. Well, I was working that day, but I'm looking out and I see the guy is looking at some music books, and my wife, not back then, walks by the guy and
Ooh, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. 5 minutes are up. Would you like to use your 5?
Yeah, I want to use my 5. I want to hear the end of the story.
All right, let's hear the end of the story, ladies and gentlemen. 5 more minutes. Let's begin.
2 5s on one topic.
I know, that's the
impressive.
first time.
That's pretty good.
So what happened is, just for demonstration, my wife is walking past the dude, gives him one of these. Totally platonic, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
I've given a dude a shoulder rub. What's up, man? How you doing? No big deal. This is before I even knew I liked her. Me watching that 3 seconds happen, I got so heated out of nowhere, and I had no idea why. It took the rest of the day for me to figure it out, and I went and I was obviously in a very bad mood. Ended up speaking with one of my coworkers who worked with both of us, and I was like, I'm having a really rough day. Here's what happened. Here's what I saw. And he was like, well, maybe you should talk to her about it. He knew.
Yeah.
He could
Oh
see.
yeah.
Yeah, he could see that.
It's so easy to see from the outside.
Looking
that
in,
it's
yeah.
like, it's crazy because, like, I don't know. I could tell, with 2 of our coworkers,
Yeah.
like that when we all went out and I saw them, I'm like, oh yeah,
It was obvious.
oh yeah, that's totally gonna be a thing. But like, they didn't see it, so I totally get where
Right.
your friend is coming from.
And the funny thing is, you're talking about timelines in your last question. With myself and my wife, we went through that whole getting to know each other process of being friends over the course of a couple years. With our coworkers, that was a couple months,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
Yeah.
I I would not invalidate that one bit just because it was a shorter time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not saying anybody else would either, but it's, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
go at the pace that works for you.
Which absolutely makes sense. I mean, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my, as an extremely happy guy who, I would never ever imagine myself with anybody else. That's how. Not how I made it happen. That's how I lucked out, and that was able to happen for me.
That's good. All right. So, out of curiosity, was there a certain point in time, Alex, that in your head you're like, she's the one? Because I mean, everybody has their doubts, or even like later on in the future, you're like, man, that one person who I was speaking to, like, I messed up. Like, that was the one I should have been sticking it out with, and I just dismissed her. I mean, because I'm guilty of that. I've done that. One of my exes where I was like, man, I really took advantage of her, and that was really stupid of me. And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm so much smarter now that it's like, ugh, I'm so stupid. Why didn't I see that? I was obviously taking advantage of her, and I didn't.
Yeah, I've done that to a girl too.
Yeah, and then now you're like, man, that was so stupid of me.
I fucking hate talking about that. Dude.
Yeah, but it's
Pisses me
true
off.
though.
It's
like,
true.
It's true. Absolutely true. Because it's happened to
true,
me.
but it
I know it's happened to other
sucks,
people.
Man.
I know females who've told me, friends of mine that they're like, I wish I never did so and so him dirty or whatever. Because now I see like, God, I was so stupid. I was so arrogant and ignorant to the fact of what he really was to me. And it's like, and I see it where it's just like, man, I'm not gonna say no names, but like her, there's one specific one, and she knows. We talked years later, and it was just like, oh, hey, how have you been? And it was just like, you could see that, like, I really messed up.
Yeah.
I really messed up. She was already married and has kids and all that stuff, which is, salute to you. But it was one I was like, that could have been me. I could have been married with her with kids and be living a completely different life than I'm living now. But, you never know. It's like, is that like fate too? Like, to twist it a little? Like, was fate that I need to not be with her and to continue the path I am on now? Or, I mean, how do you look at it? It's just, right? It's just life. Man. Life is just,
I got nothing for you.
I mean, basically, if you look at like past relationships and stuff like that, the best thing I could think to say is the worst mistake is the one that you make twice. And so if you have a relationship where maybe you weren't attentive enough, or you didn't care enough about what they had going on, just move forward and
don't do it again.
Don't do it again.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was first topic of the episode.
Okay, yeah,
9.
first topic.
And so yeah, that we ended up using 2 5s for that bad boy, and it was relationships, how to get in them or get out of them. What do you guys think, especially the women? How do you guys feel about it? Have any of you ever been in a very bad relationship, and this is what you did to kind of get out of it? Have you guys ever been in a great relationship, somehow it got ruined because just life happens, and how did that affect you? But anyways, so that was the first topic. Mannche, you are Mannche, you are up.
Yep.
So what would you like to speak about today?
All right. So my topic for the day is going to be minimum wage.
Minimum wage. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of young college kids who are screaming at their screen right now. All right, let's begin. 10 minutes starts now.
All right. So minimum wage, should it stay the same? Should it be lowered, or should it be raised?
Oh man.
And what?
Yeah, that one's frustrating.
And what? And what does that entail for society as a whole?
Well, it's frustrating because I'm not an economist, and I wish that I had more knowledge about how that whole thing works in the grand scheme of our whole country or even world economics. Because there's so many things that are tied to it, and decisions like that, You know, I mean, there's all kinds of different things that would happen. Let's say you bump minimum wage up to $17 an hour. Well, that's great for your low line person who's just getting an entry level job working 17 an hour. But what does that do to a small business who now needs to be able to pay this increased wage? Plus, you know, now insurance is pretty much required. So if they can, they've got to pay for insurance policies for their employees and stuff like that too. There's just so many. It's one question that has about a million little things tied to it.
The little problems here. Yeah. It's
That I just don't have the knowledge to answer that
thoroughly.
right.
Because my biggest thing is that, like, you're absolutely right, Alex. It's when you raise it to the point where it's just so expensive to pay someone, it's almost impossible to start your own business unless you literally just you yourself are your only employee, and that is what it is. Because then you're okay with not getting paid this week or next week. You're okay with getting paid at the end of the month. Whereas a regular employee, they can't do that. You can't say, hey, is it okay if you get paid 2 weeks from now? It's like, no, I need to. I got family, or I got a life, and I got to pay for these bills that need to get paid right now. Like, minimum wage is so screwed up, and it's because of just the big conglomerate companies have messed it up for everyone. And the biggest one that they do it, that's what frustrates me the most, is that they'll raise minimum wage by like 5 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, $1, et cetera, et cetera. And then by doing so, their excuse is to raise every one of their products tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
And every year it gets raised and raised and raised, and they keep saying, oh, well, that's because minimum wage went up. And it's like, but an employee who's working at your place, they make X amount of dollars. It takes them how many days to be able to afford that one thing that your store sells pretty often? It's like that ratio doesn't really work out. And in addition to that, you have a whole bunch of scenarios where people can't even afford to live on that little bit because now everything around them is gone up because of inflation and all that good stuff. All those variables in the economic all the economists and all the people in the world who understand all that and how it works will tell you that most companies only have to raise everything about 5 cents, maybe 10 cents at the most. And that will pay for everyone to get a raise, people's insurance, and everything in between. And that's fair. And that's real. Like, you can actually research it. That's on Google. You can check it out. I just know about it because I researched it because I always was curious about that. And it's hard to swallow that pill once you know that, when you know how much you just got raised and how little it is in the circumstances of the workforce in the world, and how you're not going to be able to pay your car off in probably 5 to 10 years. You're not going to be able to pay your house off until you're in your late 60s. You know, like, it's just really ass backwards in a lot of ways, and it's not fair. But you know, that's just the capitalist, society we live in. That's just that's a part of the American dream of, I can go out today, make something of myself, and then tomorrow I'm a millionaire. It is possible. It's hard, but it's possible. So it's different. So many variables, and it's real hard to swallow. I don't like it, but I understand it.
Yeah. So, like, my problem with minimum wage is that, yeah, you can raise it, but everything else around you gets raised.
Yeah.
Like prices of products, gas, housing. So then yes, you're making more money, but you're also spending more money. So that ratio from what you were spending to what you are spending now is like, it's still the same, like percentages. So what is it? What is minimum wage right now? Like $12?
I believe,
So.
and it's different for different states too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's 12. And like, what was it? 3 years ago it was 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 10. So it's like, yeah, that's $2 for everything. So then people who worked 40 hours at $10 an hour were making $400 a week, but now they're making, quick math here, $480 a week. So that extra $80, that doesn't really matter because they'll raise the price of milk, or they'll raise the price of gas, or they'll raise the price of housing. So like if you're trying to get a new house, you know, it doesn't help you. Like if you're already in a loan, you know, if you're already in that financial situation, I guess it might help you a little bit. But for the people who are just starting, it's like, you know, people who just got out of high school, you know, people who are working through college, like you can't live off of minimum wage.
You can't.
And that's the point of it, is you're supposed to be able to. That's why it's minimum wage.
Yeah.
Is that should be
This
the
is
lowest amount you can pay somebody and have them live on their own.
Exactly.
And it might not be a very nice living, but it's a living. And it's, if you gave somebody a job for $12 an hour and they're not, even if they worked 40 hours a week, they're not going to be able to live on their own.
No, because then you factor in rent, you know, and then people are like, well, then just live with your parents. And it's like, well, what if you're going to an out-of-state college? You can't.
Mm-hmm.
And your parents really can't afford to pay for your housing over there. Well, you got to get a job. Okay, that's fine. Well, the minimum wage job is not given, it's not enough. Okay, I got to get a second job. Well, I got school, though. How am I supposed to do that? Oh, okay, well, then I'll just cut some classes. And, you know, instead of it being like a 2-year degree I was going to get, now it's became I got to do 4 years now just to get that 2-year degree.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's still not enough money. Hold on. I got to get a third job now? Oh, my God. Okay, I guess I'll do night classes. Oh, well, goodbye, sleep. And I'll see you just do all these 3. Oh, and now I got to be able to drive myself to these jobs randomly. It's like you start literally just adding more and more and more and more and more to the point where like people start feeling like I can't survive. I'm literally drowning here and there's no way getting out.
Yeah, like, or they'll be like, hey, let me just get student loans, but you're not going to pay those off until you're
or let me see if
30s.
Let me see if I can qualify for a credit card. Oh, I'm $2,000 in debt.
Yeah. Nope,
Like
max
that.
out that real quick.
Yep.
Like I have one student loan right now. I think I got it for like $5,000 or something like that, and I don't have to start paying it until like a certain time or whatever, like until I graduate. I think it's one of those.
Yeah, you get like a grace period
Mhm.
after.
Yeah, so you don't have to pay anything while you're in school, but as soon as you graduate school, you have to start paying for it.
Yeah.
But when I get done paying that off, I think I'm paying like $8,000 in total or something like that, maybe
Mhm.
9. Like it's insane, the interest rates.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, you're literally buying a brand new car.
yeah.
Like
So and it's just rough, man. Like it shouldn't be the way that it is, but it's just, you know, it's just how it be. You know, people, we talk about like the older generations when they're like, I remember when gas was
96 cents or
like 25 cents.
Yeah.
Right.
Like 25 cents a gallon. But it's like, yeah, but what were you getting paid?
How much do you get paid back then?
How much
Yeah.
was the minimum wage? It was $4 or something like that. $5 maybe.
Shit, I would ballpark less.
You think less?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like around there. So like that makes sense, you know. But if you probably looked at the ratios between those versus now, I'm sure it's probably the same.
Probably worse now.
That's what I would
I
think.
think that much time, that much inflation happening, the dollar's not worth what it used to be or what it had
Yeah.
been
Oh, yeah.
historically.
Yeah.
The
for
dollar's
sure.
not worth $1.
Oh, absolutely not. No. I mean I don't go fast food chains pretty much at all, but I mean there's no such thing as a dollar menu anymore. It's called the value menu now.
Right.
Yeah, it's not worth $1.
No, and everything's like $1 something or $2 and something cents. And it's like, well, I mean come on.
And I mean that whole scenario you just spelled out. Well, both of you guys with someone taking student loans to get into college, just stay away from that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it.
Alex, you just love being cut off today by the time, don't you?
Yes, man.
Damn,
Too much to say.
I am sorry,
Too
Alex.
much to say.
Well, the good part is that you're up. So 10 minutes starts whenever you're ready.
All right. So my topic is going to get started a little differently today. I'm going to actually ask you guys a couple of questions just because I want to see what your answers are.
Okay.
So let's start. 10 minutes starts now.
All right. You guys remember when you were kids reading a book series? Papa Bear, Mama Bear, Brother Bear, Sister Bear.
Mm-hmm.
What are the name of those books?
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
The Berenstain
I know,
Bears?
I know exactly.
Or the Berenstein Bears?
Okay. Do you want me to answer honestly, or do you want me to answer what I know is to be true?
He knows where I'm going.
I know exactly where you're going.
I have no clue as to where you're going.
What do you remember to be true?
Berenstein.
At Berenstein Bears.
Okay. Can you describe the color chartreuse to me?
Isn't it like a maroon?
Uh,
Like a lighter maroon, like a dark pink kind of.
Okay.
To be honest, I can't even tell you. I have no idea.
Fair enough. It's a weird color. Do you guys remember a movie made in the 90s that had Sinbad in it? He plays a genie.
Now I know exactly where you're going with this.
What was the name of the movie?
That-
Isn't it Shazam?
No, that was Shaquille O'Neal.
Damn it, I knew it. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, that was Shaquille O'Neal. That was Shazam. There, and I remember this vividly too because I know this is like I don't want to ruin it for anyone. I'll let you, but there was an actual preview for a movie, and maybe it was just a commercial within like a Disney or one of those movies for Sinbad being dressed as a genie, but maybe it was just like in that discretion somehow it got buried away that he was supposed to be a genie, but he wasn't. But yeah, because I've done my research on that, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know where these line of questions are going, today we're going to be talking about, for my topic, something that's called the Mandela effect.
Good old Mandela effect.
All right. Now, it's named so because a lot of people believe to remember Nelson Mandela having died
Yep.
in prison.
The funny part is I remember that too, that there was documents proving that he was dead in prison, and then fast forward the time period, he was still alive.
Right. So, answers to the questions. Nelson Mandela did not die in prison in our time. It is the Berenstain Bears in our time. Chartreuse is actually closer to a yellowish green in our time. And what was the last one I asked?
Sinbad.
Sinbad. Shazam never existed in our time. So the idea of the Mandela effect, just a short rundown, is basically the sharing of what are deemed to be false memories amongst a group of people who have not necessarily any ties to each other. They don't know each other. They have these things that they remember to be true, and in our current timeline, they are not. Now, one big theory about this is that the Mandela effect is caused by maybe some major event that caused our timeline to shift off and skew into an alternate reality, an alternate timeline, where events didn't happen the way that we remember them to prior, and now we're living in the shadow of those events turning out different ways, pretty much. So basically it states that we're in a different timeline than we were in back when we gained all these what are considered to be false memories. So my question is, because long intro, what do you guys think of the validity of this? I mean, does it kind of creep you out a little bit? Does it sound like it could be possible? And what are some of your other examples, if you have any off the top of your head, that bother you because you remember them being different?
One that was a big one, and it turned out to be absolutely true, that everyone was dismissing, and then randomly a prototype actually just sprung up, was the Nintendo PlayStation. That was one of those things that it got announced in a magazine or whatever, and then everyone dismissed it. It never happened. Sony never was contracted with Nintendo to make one, but then the prototype sprung up out of nowhere, and it turns out actually it was 100% true. The company did come through with it, and it was really true. So like that one makes me think like, is there a possibility that these ones were actually real and they just buried them because they just needed it to not happen, and because maybe some litigation was involved with it, so it's like it needs to be buried, or else people are going to get sued. People could lose serious money. People could lose jobs, so they just needed to disappear. Or was it just like the literal Nelson effect, where it's just like you said, it's just like some type of mirrored, like alternate universe happened to fade into ours, and then we remembered that, but it just never happened. Or even like I know there's some that are like items, like when we were kids, like the high C, was it Cool Goo or something like that? It's the one for the Ghostbusters, and only a very limited amount of people know exactly what I'm talking about. And there's certain little weird things like that where there's so obscure items that kind of got like fallen into the cracks where people don't even know they ever existed. But then there's others too. So it's like, does that fall into the Nelson effect also, or is this more like just obscure marketing and it just didn't work right and no one cares no more? What's the difference?
Yeah, fair enough. I feel like a lot of stuff does fall into obscurity, but then, how much do you trust your memory?
So
Yeah,
apparently not too much.
Well, because the biggest one that kills me, and I tell people this, and hopefully this blows some people's minds, that the idea of remembering is remembering a memory. Like, you're not actually remembering that exact moment. You're actually remembering that moment. So, of course, it's going to be your brain replacing little here's and there's to try to make sense out of it, because the way you remembered it may have not been correct, per se. So your brain fixes it for you. So it places these little, spots of things where it didn't exist. I mean, for all we know, that whole Sinbad theme was never actually Sinbad. It was actually just, pulling strings here, was actually Michael Jordan. He was supposed to be Sinbad, or not Sinbad, excuse me, Shazam. And they pulled that information because they don't want, to say Michael Jordan to be presented as a genie. So they buried it to make it go away. But really, it was actually supposed to be him, but it's like it would have ruined his image, so they could have got rid of it. And this is hypothetical. That's not true at all. I just pulled that out of my ass. But that's what I'm saying. So maybe something like that existed, and it could actually... I'm just trying to make counterpoints as to like why the Mandela effect could be like kind of dismissed.
Sure.
All right, so I was looking up some other Mandela effect
There's a lot.
examples, and there's a lot.
There's a lot.
Okay, so I'm gonna run you by some, and let's see what you guys answer. All right, Curious George, did he have a tail?
No.
Nope.
All right, cool. He's never had a tail. Some people do remember that he had a tail.
I mean, maybe on like someone's sketchbook when they're first drawing him, pulling it out of their ass.
All right, is it Jif or Jiffy peanut butter?
See, I remember Jiffy,
I think that's tomato. Like,
but it's not. They're different names.
because it's GIFF, right?
Nope, one F for Jif,
Oh, Jif.
and then Jiffy.
Oh,
is
Jiffy.
the one.
I'm getting those two confused. Like, I'm actually combining those two, and that's probably the reason why I'm kind of falling into that category too.
Yeah, it's Jif. It's never been called Jiffy.
Because I'm one of those
Ever.
one of those people out there in YouTube land who does call caramel. I don't call caramel. I call caramel. I pronounce it like that.
That's the right way.
Yeah. See, there's people like Alex is like, that's correct, and there's people who say caramel, and they're like, the hell's wrong with you? It's caramel, and it's like, no, it's caramel. There's an extra A
There's
there.
2 A's.
Yeah, you would pronounce it as caramel.
Let's see here.
One that I read about earlier today is the Mr. Rogers song. I always remember him saying it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and evidently he says it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
This I always thought it was the.
There's a Star Wars one. It's literally like Luke. It's not Luke, I am your father. It's something different.
It's no, I am your father.
Yeah. It's not
No.
Luke, I am your father. It's no, I am your father.
I am your father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. How is Oscar Mayer spelled?
I remember it with 2 E's. Meyer.
Yeah, that's how I remember it.
It's Mayer.
Oscar Mayer.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's a really.
Well, hot dog.
Or,
Mayer.
I mean, if we're gonna dissect how words are spelled, Colonel bugs the hell out of me how that's spelled.
It's not the same thing. It's not a Mandela effect.
No, but I'm just saying if we're gonna dissect something that's
Oh.
spelled that bugs the hell out of me. It's spelled like that.
Colonel.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Does we are the fuck?
We are not the fuck.
We are not the fuck. I do not remember that, sir.
Oh my
God.
goodness! Why does this keep happening in good parts of this?
Use your 5 minutes, Eli.
All right, 5 minutes
Lit.
for Mannche. Let's
Wow.
go begin.
He
All
got
right.
shoved into it.
I know, right? Jesus.
How does "We Are the Champions" by Queen end?
A lot of people think that they say "of the world" at the end, but they don't. It's in the middle of the song.
Mhm.
I think people confuse that one.
All right. Did the Monopoly Man, Rich Uncle Pennybags, does he have a monocle?
See, I always thought he did.
I have no idea. Same like Alex said. Maybe in the beginning they got rid of it because he maybe looked too snooty.
No, there's
Never had a monocle.
No monocle.
Never had a monocle.
And that kind of
Alright.
thing makes you wonder, like, did I just, like, mix him up in my head with, like, half the Monopoly guy and half Mr. Peanut?
Yeah.
Mr. Peanut had a monocle.
Miss Peanut does have a monocle.
All right. Is the tip of Pikachu's tail black?
Yes.
Like
no,
the-
it's brown.
The end of it.
Well, isn't it when it first came out, it was like a different color, and then
Oh,
they changed it?
lordy. Yes.
No.
No?
Never had a. It's all yellow.
No black tip?
No black tip.
Oh,
It's all yellow
jeez.
except for right at the base of the tail. It's like it got a little brown on it.
Now, one thing before you go on to the next one, because I did a little bit of reading on this today. One thing that I thought was really interesting was that Sinbad, had heard about his involvement with the whole Shazam thing and everything like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, obviously, I know I didn't make this movie. He said, but one thing that seemed interesting to him was that a lot of the people who were convinced that he had were people who were kids during the 90s. And so that kind of raises the question, I'm sure he doesn't know everybody who has this assumption or that false memory.
Yeah.
But if something did happen to kind of skew our timeline or something like that, do you think it happened in the mid 80s, late 80s, early 90s? What the hell could it have been?
True.
No idea.
No
'Cause
idea.
This is so theoretical of a thing. There is no physical way to prove any of this. I mean, even if you were like, no, I remember Berenstain Bears, and I took a picture of this book when I was a kid. Well, if you go and look at the picture, even if we had originated in this other timeline where it was spelled the one way, if you look at a picture of it now, it's going to be spelled the way it is in the world now.
Berenstain Bears.
Because the things of our world have to conform to the history of the timeline that it's running on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's almost like the Cadbury eggs. For a long time, that company was going on and on about how we thought the eggs were bigger, and then they were like, no, they got smaller over the years, and the company was just like, no, it doesn't. And it was a guy on a guest on the Conan O'Brien show. He actually had an original Cadbury egg, and he put one up to it, and it was
Yeah.
smaller. And then they were like, their foot was in their mouth now because they literally were lying.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like it's hard for me to 100% believe that theory
All right.
when the companies are scumbags like that and they will lie to you.
Absolutely. So this is another one that kind of plays off of this. Okay. So, how does Chick-fil-A spelled? Specifically the chick.
It's CHIK.
See, that's what I think too.
Nope.
Is it CHICK?
Yep.
What?
What?
It's always been CHICK.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this particular moment, Mannche is pulling shit out of his ass. So I want you to go into the comments and disprove everything he's saying right now. And if you remember everything we're just discussing right now, do you remember Sinbad being a genie? Do you remember the Cadbury eggs being smaller or bigger, which actually turned out to be true, that they big and smaller?
Oh, this is a good
You
one.
found a
This
good
is,
one.
And then
This is
Mannche found
gonna-
another one.
This is going to get you guys. All right. Is C3PO all gold?
All gold?
All gold.
No. Oh, I'm gonna go with no because I'm sure everyone's gonna be like, yeah, of course.
I think so.
Nope. He has a silver leg.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He has a silver leg
I don't
the
know.
entire time.
And see, this is the stuff that drives you nuts because it's been a long time since I've watched the original Star Wars, so I can't tell if I'm just remembering incorrectly or if I'm remembering something that just isn't true anymore.
And truth be told, ladies and gentlemen, I actually don't watch Star Wars at all. I just pulled that on my. I don't know. For a second there, I thought it was actually a smaller robot you were talking about. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, Nelson Mandela effect.
You can.
And I still misspelled
Nelson
Mandela.
Mandela.
Blah.
It's a D. There's a D there. Duh.
Are you
Say
sure?
it with
I'm going to
me.
look it up right
Duh.
now.
Dang.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Nelson Mandela effect.
Nelson Mandela. Christ.
And so we're going to go on to the final topic. And this one is a very strong one. So let's see how you guys feel about it. Poverty in America. Is there any way, shape, or form can we fix it? And if so, what do you guys think? And if there isn't, how has it may have possibly affected your life personally? So let's begin. 10 minutes starts now.
Redistribution of wealth.
The rich
I'll
are too
say it
rich and
again.
the poor are too poor.
Redistribution of wealth.
I was like, wait, can you elaborate on that? Do you mean like literally someone gets all the wealth in America and then redistributes it? Is that what you mean?
Well, you can't do that.
You
because
can't.
No.
That's communism. And
Exactly.
Communism doesn't work with people.
Capitalism.
It sounds good on paper, like communism on paper, listed out. It sounds like a great thing, but put into practice is not a very good thing.
Communism would work perfectly if human beings had a hive mentality like bees or ants. If
Yeah.
we were all considered ourselves to be part of one organism and we're working towards one goal, then it makes
Exactly. It doesn't
more
work
sense.
with individuality.
Exactly.
It doesn't. Yeah.
We're different people. We make different
Um,
efforts.
But yeah, it's like, well, you hear about, we pay, all three of us pay taxes
Yeah.
on our work. I can tell you it probably takes like, I gotta do the math. I think it takes like 18% out of my paycheck, every single paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a higher bracket too.
And the rich people, like, our money is, pocket change to them, where their taxes are supposed to really be the
driving force for
Yeah.
America. Tax force.
That's the money that you're like, oh man, it's a good thing we have this, but then they get all these tax breaks, or they get all these write-offs, or stuff like that, where they don't pay as much as they should.
Mhm.
And then that screws over the lower class who actually need the taxes.
To save themselves. Yeah, no, I agree 100% with you. And because it's like, how do you guys feel about like families who are born into the wealth? Like, is that can be circumstantial fairness, or is that like, it's because it's like they didn't actually work for it, and then they have these systematic things in place to make sure that wealth really doesn't go away, because now we need it for infrastructure, and we need it for just general living situations, where like some are the main central hubs for food distribution centers, and without that, a lot of people will starve, literally. So like they kind of enact it almost like a monopoly. It's not technically, but it is if you look at it in a certain light, that these people, these families, these big people are never going to not be wealthy because of these circumstances they created for us.
Yeah, I mean, like anybody can get there with enough work and maybe a little bit of luck.
Yeah,
People
some
can
elbow
become people can become that top 1%. But it's like look at Jay-Z and Beyonce's kid. She's never gonna have to work a day in her life. She could literally do absolutely jack shit and would be paid off entirely for the rest of her life.
Unless Jay-Z and Beyonce, it's like stipulate some type of rule to her that you're not going to get any wealth from us if you don't follow these parameters, like go to school or do this or do that.
Like a trust.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because like that's what Dr. Dre did with his first son, Andre Young. He told him, or was it Curtis Young? I'm sorry. If you know, let us know in the comments. He told nothing. He said, "You get nothing from me." So he literally made him start from the ground up. The only thing he has is that he's Dr. Dre's son, and that's it.
Right.
He got no money from it. From my understanding, he lives out in an apartment in Compton, and he's struggling.
Really?
His dad's a billionaire, but he has no money. Like he's just a regular everyday guy, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in the music field. That's how I know of him. But when I found that all out and did my research, I was like, wow, that's amazing. But Dr. Dre's mentality was, I earned this. You didn't.
Yeah.
You got to go out and make your own wealth and your own success. Because then it creates that little brats and whatnot who are not hungry or ambitious. They're just kind of like, oh, mommy and daddy will take care of everything.
Well, and I think it's important because nobody can control the circumstances that they're born into. Being born into wealth just the same as being born into poverty.
Exactly.
The biggest thing, I feel like if people are inherently wealthy and they do have children who are born into that kind of luxurious lifestyle, you have a responsibility to teach your kids how you got there, what you needed to do in order to accumulate that wealth and to set up that type of lifestyle to where you're able to take care of your family incredibly well and have these luxuries and things like that. I think a big problem with it is that a lot of the money that's in America is old money. And
Exactly.
so the problem with that is that, those people's parents never sat them down and gave them this discussion. I had to bust my ass my entire life. I built this house with my, own
my
two
bare
hands.
hands.
I started this business from the ground up and made it what it is today, and that's why we have all these things. So if they never got that talk and they never found out where they came from, where their quality of life came from, why would they pass that on? It's not even anything they would have thought of.
Mm-hmm.
So
True.
they have
Yeah.
a responsibility to educate their children what it takes to gain that lifestyle, just the same as impoverished people have a responsibility to say, hey, this is, you're my kid, I want you to have a better life than I did, and here's some things that you need to be proactive in and you need to step up to if you want that to happen. So much bad comes from people not learning the value of a dollar, and that's on the rich side and that's on the poor side.
Yeah.
True. Absolutely.
I'm still waiting for my parents to tell me they're secretly millionaires.
They might be.
They might be.
You never know.
I would love to know because your boy could use some money.
Could use a few bucks to get yourself in some out of financial constraints.
Or get more tattoos. But, same difference.
Yeah.
Well, let me throw this one at you guys. Do you guys feel that financial freedom creates happiness?
See, they always say money can't buy happiness.
Yeah, because it says it's
But
the root
a
of all evil.
Lamborghini would make me very happy.
But then it's like the happiness might feel hollow. So I understand the whole concept of like that's not true, genuine happiness.
Oh, absolutely.
Because to me, like true, genuine happiness is being able to do what you love, what your passion is, every single day for the rest of your life. Like to
Sure.
me, that's genuine happiness.
Yeah.
I know some people will be like, no, it's your family values and how you are with your family. That's true, genuine happiness. Making greater relationships with your loved ones, your friends, your family, going out and experiencing life. That's true happiness.
Mhm.
But I think that's like subjective. It's like to his own.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think you can you can't be like, that's it right there.
Mhm.
Here, you guys, pass that around. This is it.
Yeah.
Take one, pan it to the person behind you.
Yeah.
You can determine it for yourself.
Absolutely.
For sure.
But to me, like having enough money to do whatever I wanted to do, whether it was my passion or not, that's what would make me truly happy.
Sure.
And you said the key word, because I was going to bring that up. If you didn't, if you have enough money to pursue your passion in life, I mean, let's be real. Like that would actually help you get ultimately to your goal. Period. So then that could actually bring you happiness.
Exactly, but I don't really have a goal besides having enough money to do what I want to do, whether I'm passionate about it or not. Like I don't have a goal at the end of that passion. My goal starts at the beginning.
And then you just take each hurdle as it comes along.
Yeah. It's like, oh, hey, I want to go
mountain biking.
Yeah, I want to go to the Great Wall of China. All right, cool. You want to leave next week? Yeah, sure.
Let's go. Peace.
Yeah, let's go. Buy a plane ticket. Let's go. All right. We're at the Great Wall of China. You're like, I'm going to, you know what? I really feel like going to Turkey. I really feel like going to Turkey because, like, I don't know, it seems like a pretty cool place. All right, let's do it. Or I want to go skydiving. I want to go get a new tattoo,
Yeah,
like I'm not insanely passionate about those things to the point where like that's it, but it's like having that money be there to enable me to do those things.
Right. My my stepdad had a really good saying. He said, "Al, life is what's going on while a bunch of shit gets in your way. And it's a shit sandwich. The more bread you've got, the less shit you have to eat." I always thought that was interesting. Oh, God. Damn it all.
I'm pretty sure that was every topic.
Every topic, yeah. And we all use all our fives, so that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, that was the first time in any episode we all used our five.
I think so,
yeah.
So, with that being said...
And the first time using 2 5s on one topic.
On one topic, yeah. So, first topic is relationships, how to get in and out of it. And then the second topic was minimum wage. Can you live or live without it? The third topic was...
I'm going to say it. The Mandela effect.
The Mandela effect.
Yeah, don't let him say it.
He has a lot smoother voice in how he says it. And then, of course, my last one, which was poverty. How it affects people negatively and potentially even positively. So with that being said, that actually wraps up episode 9, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, episode 9.
We did it. If you could like, comment, subscribe, or even turn on a little notification bell, that helps us grow dramatically. And the best part is it helps us grow with you guys. And, that actually concludes episode 9. So
yeah.
with
all the social medias will be down in the description.
Down in the description below. So go look us up. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. And with that being said, we look forward to seeing you on our milestone of episode 10. So, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have yourself a great night. We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Peace.
Peace.